Anxiety. It's a big challenge for many people around the world today, including me. I recorded this introduction to my TEDxReno talk because I want to be clear that there are two types of anxiety. There are clinical anxiety disorders and non-clinical anxiety. Clinical anxiety disorders interfere with your life, and they warrant professional treatment, such as psychotherapy and medication. If you are suffering, please do not just rely on this video. Get the help that you need. Non-clinical anxiety, that's the subject of this talk. My goal is to explain why our society is so anxious today. Anxiety is a universal emotion. It's something that we all experience, and the more that we try to get rid of it, the more severe it gets. Therefore, our society's quest for an anxiety-free life, it sets up unrealistic expectations, and it's making things worse. For the clinicians watching, I draw upon the principles of CBT and ACT, but the message has been adapted for a broader audience. Thank you very much. At the start of the pandemic, I completely panicked. I'm a clinical psychologist, and every time I glanced at my phone, it made me short of breath, gave me heart palpitations. We had 500 patients at Center for Anxiety at that time, and we had to move every single one of them to telehealth in just 2 weeks. Of course, I was worried for myself and my family, but I was terrified for my patients because they had anxiety going into the pandemic, and no one knew what was going to happen. To my pleasant surprise, our patients who were in treatment prior to March 2020 as a group did not experience an increase in anxiety at any point during the pandemic. In a recent research paper, we identified that they actually did better than individuals who had never experienced previously anxiety. What I've learned since my own panic in March 2020, it's changed my relationship with anxiety forever. It's a message I'd like to share with you. Anxiety is not something we need to get rid of. We need to learn to embrace it. Our society, it's so incredibly anxious today. Of the next 10 people that you bump into, statistically speaking, 5 have significant anxiety. And for teenagers, it's 7 out of 10. And no, we're not just diagnosing more. There are many indicators that our mental health, it's fallen off a cliff. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for all young people in the United States today, including children as young as 11 years old. Anxiety and depression, they're the top cause of disability. But here's the most shocking statistic. Healthy school children in the United States today have more anxiety than psychiatry hospital patients from the 1950s. What's really fascinating, though, is that not all areas of the globe are the same. Middle-income countries, such as Brazil and Mexico, actually have half as much anxiety as high-income countries. And low-income countries, like Peru, have half as much anxiety as middle-income countries. So just to put that into perspective for one moment, if you take a typical 6-year-old girl living in the United States of America today with all the accoutrements of modern life, she is 4 times more likely to have significant emotional distress compared to her same age peers living in Peru who do not have access to clean water. You're probably wondering, why? Why are citizens of countries with stronger economies, better technology, more advanced medical care, more freedom, more security, why are we so anxious? In other words, why are the most privileged people to walk planet Earth today the most plagued with emotional distress? The answer is because of our culture's approach to anxiety. We incorrectly view anxiety as a disease. The moment we start to feel anxious, we think something is wrong with us and we're weak, and we freak out. Literally, that misperception, that's the root cause of the anxiety pandemic. Because when we start to think something's wrong here, I can't handle this, my body's going nuts, our adrenaline soars. And that gives us muscle tension and raises our heart rate, which increases our need for oxygenated blood. So all of a sudden we start breathing faster, which increases our body temperature, which increases our sweating. And all of those processes divert energy away from our gut, leaving us with stomach distress. The symptoms of anxiety cascade upon each other, taking us from a 2 to a 10. In the context of incredible privilege, historically unprecedented privilege, we have viscerally internalized that anxiety is something to fear, as opposed to recognizing that it's just a fleeting emotional response. And unfortunately, the cycle doesn't end there. The moment we feel anxious, we try to squelch our symptoms, we run away from it, and in industrialized countries, we're very quick to reach for medical solutions. Our quest for an anxiety-free life, it's not medically necessary. And ironically, it's increasing the prevalence and severity of anxiety en masse. As a clinical psychologist who's been working in the field for 20 years, a huge part of my job is to identify ways to reduce human distress. It's what I do. If I'm being perfectly honest with you here today, when it comes to anxiety, the methods don't work. They actually make things worse, because the more we run away and try to get rid of our anxiety, contain it, the more it comes back with a vengeance. If you are trying to feel less anxious today, you're heading in the wrong direction. We need to run towards our anxiety, not to back away from it. Now, I know that sounds nuts. So think about the gym. Everyone knows that when we work out, it's uncomfortable. It's even painful at times. We're lifting weights, we're doing vigorous cardio, but it's specifically the discomfort of exercise that makes us more physically fit. That's how we push beyond our zone of tolerance, and we increase our strength and our stamina. Well, guess what? Mental and emotional health and fitness work the same way. When we allow ourselves to experience difficult emotions, it makes us more resilient, and that's what happened to my patients back in 2020. In therapy, they learned not only to embrace and accept, but actually to approach, to confront, to intentionally move towards anxiety. And in doing so, they were inoculated. They were able to walk through one of the most challenging, complicated periods in recent history without a significant increase in distress. This is one of 9 strategies in my book, Thriving with Anxiety. It's called Transcending Anxiety. And it involves directly, intentionally confronting situations that make us feel anxious. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would I do that, right? I'd rather go to the gym. Well, there are many reasons why it's a great idea to confront situations, not just despite, but because they make us feel anxious. First, to paraphrase my McLean Hospital colleague, Dr. Susan David, anxiety is the cost of admission to a meaningful life. Everyone knows deep in their hearts, if you're going to achieve something that's really meaningful, something that you value, anxiety is part of the package. Second, we must stop being so harsh with ourselves. We view anxiety as a medical or psychological or even a moral failing, and it's just not true. All human beings have anxiety, including CEOs, pop stars, Olympians. Trust me, many of them come to my offices for therapy. When we confront our anxiety, it's one step towards today. It's one step towards building self-compassion, which I think is something everybody needs. And here's a third reason. I think this is the biggest one of all. Our society is completely intolerant of uncertainty. We're allergic to it. We have predictions and forecasts and percentages for everything today. And even though those percentages are often wrong, right, we scrutinize them. We would prefer to predict the future and to be dead wrong than to admit the truth, which is that we're human. And much of the future is and always will be uncertain and uncontrollable to some degree. When we confront our anxiety head on, it's a bold move, and it helps us to thrive in an uncertain world. So, a first step. What are you avoiding in your life because of anxiety? Something that makes your palms sweat a little. Something that gives you a jolt. Just to think about. For me, this TEDx talk. I've never given a talk before without notes, ever. This whole week, it was bad. My son's here, actually. You can ask him Hi, buddy. Thanks for coming to Reno with me, by the way. What are you avoiding in your life because of anxiety? Maybe you avoid planes. Maybe it's elevators. Maybe you avoid certain animals, social situations, speaking with certain people, speaking about certain topics. The physical symptoms of anxiety. Do they get in the way of driving? Do they get in the way of doing exercise? Here's one, procrastination. Pushing off projects because starting to tackle them makes us feel a little bit tense. Take a moment and visualize yourself transcending an area of your anxiety, courageously confronting what you've been avoiding, embracing the uncertainty head on. Don't imagine doing it without anxiety, okay? It's not going to happen calmly. No, that won't happen. That's the point. Do it scared. And now, commit to facing anxiety in one area of your life. Put it in your calendar. Text a friend and tell them what you're going to do. I'll wait. I'm serious. It'll transform your life. Why? Because in the modern world, there are many more house cats than lions. And when we transcend our anxiety, face that fear, the experience, the challenges that we experience, those can help us to thrive. Thank you.